are continuing with our look at we are going to get started with our highlights of the Torah portion. Just a highlight and major or into it, but we want to and always look at scripture on Shabbat Torah. So we'll look at this week's annual portion, which is Vayera, which is and he appeared. And he appeared. The Torah portion for this week is Genesis 18, verse 1, all the way up to chapter 22, verse 24. But we are just going to, as I said, deal with the highlights of that. We'll just look at the beginning, the opening verses of the Torah portion right here, Genesis 18, 1 through 8.
Yahweh appeared to him by the tamarind trees of Vayera, while he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked and saw three men standing opposite him. And when he saw them, ran from the tent door to meet them to the ground and said, Yahweh, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourself under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread and refresh your hearts, and then go home. This is why you have come to your servant. And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent to Sarah and said, hurry, take 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make the cakes. And when Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, he hurried and prepared it. And he took curds and milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate.
Okay, very good. Very good. All right, Vayera, and he appeared. Scripture there says, and Yahweh appeared, in the title Vayera. He is, of course, Yahweh, Most High. So it's interesting. First of all, when we think about this Torah portion and what happens in this Torah portion, I think that it is necessary for us to kind of think about this, and what I'm getting ready to talk about right now. Think about that when we get over into the New Testament portion, because these really aren't, these two things, these cycles they don't belong together necessarily. It's not like a set of New Testament scriptures that goes along with these. I created a schedule for the New Testament, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Torah portion. But interestingly enough, this week when we look at this Torah portion, the thing that happens in this portion is something that bears witness to what we'll deal with over in the New Testament. So I just want you to kind of think about this when I'm getting ready to say. Think about that.
Write it down.
In a few moments. But when we look at the first verse there in Genesis chapter 18, verse 1, where it says, and Yahweh appeared, and Yahweh appeared, that word is ra'ah. Ra'ah, the word that means to see, to look upon, means to experience, and it means to appear. The word Ra'ah is an interesting word because it is exactly the same as a bird of prey, which flies way up high. Those birds, that you look at those birds, they're up in the sky, and it looks like they're just like levitating. They're just, the wind is blowing, and they got their wings out, but they're not flapping. Most of the time, those are kind of birds of prey, where they're up there just still, the wind done caught them, and they're looking down to see what it is that they might experience. And they're about to have an experience that's oh so intimate. It's so intimate that the thing that they're going to experience is actually going to be in them because they're going to eat it, right? But that word ra'ah, to see, is not to just look, but it's to experience. You know, kind of how we talk, you know what I'm saying? I see you. I see you. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to have this type of relationship where we kind of come together in a way where we understand one another, right? I see you, right? And so when we think about what it is that happened with Abraham at this time, where it says that Yahweh appeared to him, it wasn't just like a vision, right? It wasn't just like some dream thing that happened. You know, a lot of times we see things in our dreams. It's like, did I see what I thought I see? Like you're not sure about it. Right? Even if it's like, even if there's any prophets, sometimes, you know, you might have a dream that you see that came from the Most High that you need to still check with somebody else to kind of verify what it is that you saw to get understanding about. And so this ain't that, right? This was a situation which, when we look at as the story continues, where they have a meeting. There's a meeting that happens between these three individuals and Abraham. And so it's interesting that when we look at this portion here, it gives us this situation where the Most High reveals himself in a physical way. The Most High, who is so big that the heavens of heavens cannot contain him. But over here, we see that he manifests himself in the form of a physical being. Abraham is dealing with a man. So much so that he goes and gets food to be made to share with them. And verse 8 says they ate. Right? It wasn't just like he made food and it was just like, you know, how, like, say, we, in the Torah, whenever it talks about the sacrifices, you know, it's a meal that's made. There's meat and there's drink offering and there's bread that's baked or fried or what have you. There's a meal that's made, but the Most High is not eating it, even though it's for him. But over here, the situation happens where it says that they took the curds and the milk, which was prepared, and set it before them. He stood by them under the tree, and they ate. And so what we see here again is this situation where the Most High, one of many times, by the way, look in Scripture, where the Most High presents himself in a physical way. which helps us. It builds the groundwork. It helps us to be able to understand what it is that happens when Messiah comes, who is in fact the one who is the physical representation of the visible. All right, so I just wanted to kind of start there, just bringing that up, just causing us to have that on our mind when we move forward and look into the New Testament, because there's some things that go on in what we want to look at in the New Testament that these types of things that we see specifically in Genesis chapter 18 in terms of the Most High, you know, manifesting himself in a human way. As far as Abraham is concerned, he ate with the Most High. Somebody can say whatever it is they want to say about the situation, but he thought that he was eating with the creator of the universe. Just like Jacob thought, you can say whatever you want to say, but Jacob thought he wrestled with the creator. That's what he thought in his mind. I can have my interpretation of it, but he thought that's what happened. That's the only thing I could go on. Abraham thought that here he ate with. Yeah. All right, so